Question: what is agony and what is ecstasy? Answer: the same. They are not opposites as they are understood to be. They are complementary, intrinsic parts of one organic whole. Neither can exist without the other. It will be a little difficult to understand, because they have always been thought to be polar opposites. They are polar opposites seen from the outside, but all polar opposites are joined together from the inside. The negative or positive poles of electricity. The body and soul from the outside, they are not only different but antagonistic. From the inside, they are two aspects of one phenomenon. Let us first try to understand their meaning. What is agony? It is not ordinary suffering, misery, pain. All these are very superficial things. Just like ripples on the surface of a pond. They don't have any depth. You have known many pains, many miseries, many moments of suffering, and you know perfectly well they come and go. They don't even leave a trace behind them, they don't leave scars behind. Yes, while they are there you feel that you are engulfed completely in pain. But when it is gone you know perfectly well that that was only a momentary, emotional, sentimental, non-intelligent understanding of the thing. When you were in the cloud, yes, you were engulfed, but the cloud is gone with the wind and you are out of it. And now you know exactly that even in the cloud you were out of it, you were not it. Note this difference, because that is the fundamental difference. Agony is not separate from you, it is you. Pain, suffering, misery, they are all separate from you, hence, momentarily. They come and go. They have causes. When the causes are removed, they disappear. Mostly, they are your creations. You hope for something, and then it does not materialize. Great frustration comes in, you feel pain, hopelessness, as if you have been rejected by existence. Nothing of the sort has happened. It is all due to your expectation. The bigger the expectation, the bigger is going to be the frustration. It is within your hands to be frustrated in life or not. Just your expectations should become smaller. Smaller, smaller, and in the same proportion the frustration will become smaller. A day will come when there will be no expectation. Then you will never come across any frustration. You think, you imagine, some moments of pleasure. And they don't materialize, because existence has no obligation to materialize your imaginations. It has never given you any promise that whatever you think is going to happen. You have taken it for granted without any inquiry. As if the whole existence owes you something. You owe everything to existence. Existence owes you nothing. So if you are running to catch shadows, you cannot catch them. It is not in the nature of things. Then there is pain, because you were so much absorbed in running after the shadows that you were feeling a kind of fulfillment. A goal was there, although not in your hands, but far away, still it was there. And it was only a question of time, a little more effort. Be a little more American, try and try and try again. And sooner or later existence is going to yield. Existence does not care who you are, American or Russian. It never yields to anybody, it simply goes in its own way. By making an effort to fulfill your desires, to force nature, existence, to come behind you, you are creating causes of pain, suffering. The moment you understand, you drop these causes. And the dropping of the causes is the disappearance of all your misery. It was your projection. There is a Sufi story about a very cunning fox. All foxes are cunning, but there are politician foxes too. This happened to be a politician fox, very cunning. One day, she woke up, and finding herself very hungry, came out of her cave in search of some breakfast. The sun was rising, and she saw her shadow so long she could not believe it. She said, "My God, I am that big? Now where am I going to get my breakfast? I will need at least one camel, less than that won't do. My shadow is so big, naturally I must be as big. It is logical, perfectly Aristotelian. You cannot say she is wrong. You also know yourself only in the mirror, there is no other way. Have you known yourself in any other way except through a shadow? So don't laugh at the poor fox. How can she conceive that a small thing can make such a big shadow? It is very natural to conclude that if the shadow is so big, you must be as big. And when it comes to feeling oneself big, who wants to argue against it? When anything gives you the sense of bigness, you don't want to go into details to find whether it is true or wrong, whether it is logically right, scientifically provable. No, your whole being is so enchanted. The fox really felt that big. You could see her walk change. But where can she find a camel for her breakfast? And even if she can find a camel, it is going to be absolutely pointless. She cannot make a breakfast out of a camel. She searches, she finds many small animals, which would have been enough any other day, but today is different. She does not bother about all those small creatures. They will be lost just in her teeth. She needs a camel, an elephant, or something big. But she finds nothing big. The sun goes on rising higher and higher, and she goes on becoming hungrier and hungrier. When the sun is just exactly above her head, she looks again at her shadow. It has shrunken so small it is just underneath her. She says, "My God, hunger does things to people. Just one morning, I have missed breakfast. And look what has happened to my poor self. In the morning I was so big. Only half a day has passed, and this is my situation. Now, even if I can get any small creature, that may be too much. I may not be able to digest it." This Sufi story is significant. It is our story. This is our agony. We are trying to become something which is not in the nature of things. We are not allowing nature to take its course. That is our agony. When I was leaving my parents to go to the hostel in the university, they were persistently asking, "What do you want to become?" And I was telling them, that question is utter nonsense. How do I know what I am going to become? Only time will show. They could not understand me. They said, "Look at all your friends. Somebody is going to become a doctor. Somebody is going to become an engineer. Somebody is going to become this. Somebody is going to become that. You are the only person who is going to the university without any idea of what you want to become." I said, "Becoming is not my number. I want to let things take their course. I would love to find what nature makes of me. But I don't have any program of my own. To have a program of my own means suffering. That means I am trying to impose something on nature, and it is going to fail. Man has been failing for thousands of years. For the simple reason that he wants to conquer nature. Someone has even written a book, Conquest of Nature. Nature cannot be conquered. Just look at the foolishness of the thought. You are part of nature, such a small, tiny part of such an infinite nature. And the part is trying to conquer the whole. As if your little finger is trying to conquer you. How can you conquer nature? Nature is your very soul. Who is going to conquer whom? Where is the separation? I told my parents, "Please let me go. I am not going to project anything for my future. I want to keep it open. So if nature desires anything of me, I am available. If nothing is desired of me, that, too, is perfectly good. Who am I to expect that something should be desired of me? One day, I was not. One day, I will not be. Just a few days in between, why make much fuss about it? Can't you pass silently across this little interval between birth and death without making noise? Raising flags and shouting slogans? Can't you simply pass? But they said, this is not the way. Everybody has to have an ideal, otherwise he will be lost. I said, I would love to be lost but remain true to nature, to existence, rather than achieve a great ideal against nature, against existence. In the first place, in which you say I will be lost, I will be blissfully lost. In the second place, in which you think I would have achieved something, I will be nothing but pain, suffering, and finally agony. Agony is the deepest in you. And it happens only to man. All other animals are free of agony, but they are also free of ecstasy. Agony and ecstasy happen together, otherwise they don't happen at all. Have you seen any animal in ecstasy or in agony? A buffalo in agony? Just to think of it seems to be absurd. The buffalo never tried to become the Queen of England. Why should it be in agony? It simply allowed nature to make it whatsoever was the will of existence. Yes, it will never know ecstasy either because both happen at the same depth. Agony happens if you go on missing yourself. Ecstasy happens if you happen to find yourself. Missing yourself or finding yourself. Both happen at the same depth of your being. Missing yourself means that you have been trying to become something, somebody. You have an idea, and you are trying to fulfill that idea in your life.